Jackass,
Yep, go ahead.
Jackass parents for Jackass.
Yeah, I did used to quite enjoy Harry Potter, but I was always like to read the bits of the book that really not.
Well, yeah, the music started it, so like it's like about a minute before like the heroes is like because like John Brockman plays very loud punk music as well too.
And we are now live because it's 2 o'clock.
I've never read Potter and I've never seen the movies.
What the fuck? You are such a fucking boomer. Boomer, get out of here.
It just wasn't.
I bet you voted Trump.
You know, I'm sorry. My fiction is J.R. Tolkien, Robert Jordan,
and now for some reason you're holding an oversized IUD.
No, this used to be a spoon. Okay, had my 7-year-old cousin over, and we were making hard rock candy,
and he left it on the stove.
No, and I forgot that candy, because when you do hard rock candy, because maple candy you only have to get about 180 degrees. When you do hard rock candy, it's got to be 330 degrees. All right. So I used this spoon to stir it, and I started stirring it because I have wooden spoons, and I picked it up, and it was a. I'm like, oh, I think that's
What a tragedy.
Important.
I feel like every British kid's probably, or the vast majority, have seen the Harry Potter films and probably read some of the books. But
yeah,
I was always
go
like,
into King's Cross Station anymore. They have a fucking line out the door because of 9 3/4.
Silly times. It's strange because I was always of the opinion that the better part of the books were when they were just in school doing like the average life of a kid, not like random magic adventures off in nonsense land where it's like a contrived. Yeah, just I'm not really
when
a
she
massive
was not
fantasy
doing
person.
the John Campbell soup, Nazi guy, big stupid story thing. When she was just doing here's British life but with magic.
The Heroes of a Thousand Faces is where too. Yeah, the hero's journey.
Can't do that.
Joseph Campbell.
If you don't
Joseph Campbell. Oh my god, I got 2 J names and I got them both wrong. Jason Campbell.
It's telling also that the strongest of the films, the third one, is the one that has they changed quite a lot from the books, and the director was given quite a lot of freedom to move away from some of Rowling's material. I think the later books sort of fall apart. Well, not fall apart, but I remember when I read 7, I was quite disappointed in it, and obviously they made that one into 2 separate parts.
Well, that's
of the
when
films.
they got really stupid liberal. I wonder how much of the film's popularity was due to pedophiles lusting after Emma Watson.
Yeah, probably.
At least.
My dad used to be like a real huge Harry Potter fan. I never got into it though.
I like the movies. That's about it. I didn't read the books as well too, but it's just like I think if I'm going to go with modern fantasy, I'm going to find other things well too. Or there's still the Discworld books I haven't read as well too, and I heard those are really good, like fantasy books as well too. Hogwarts high school drama would be fun if the money from it wouldn't have been used to hurt people or something like that. Yeah, I mean, the big fucking legacy, like other than like the blood libel in it as well too, would have been like a fine RPG. It's worth the fact that like Jackass Karen Rowan's just profiting off it and like explicitly.
I want to check in. It sounded like you said you don't know anything about modern fantasy. Specifically, you haven't read any of the Discworld?
I still have not read any of the Discworlds. Yes,
I want you to die. Go read them now. Read them all right now.
Yes.
Terry Pratchett is awesome. It's unfortunate that he worked with Neil Gaiman. Go read Terry Pratchett.
There's only 41 books, so you can knock that out in a day or two.
They are very short, very quick. It's like he doesn't use chapters except for the Moist Von Lipwick books. So
I read all
you'll get lost in them. They're awesome. They're amazing. They're very British. And he's also a physics dude writing fantasy, so it's he put a lot of thought into it, and that shows in the early books. Later on he gets really philosophical, and they're amazing.
Unseen Academicals is the only book about sports that made me cry, literally, at a couple spots at the end, and it's also about racism. I mean, he delves into a lot of philosophical stuff. There's a book that goes about transphobia, all kinds of stuff.
Unfortunately, he did the crab bucket thing in Unseen Academicals, and I didn't like that too much.
There's also one of my favorites is Thud, Guards, Monstrous Regiment Regiment.
He did so many wonderful things. Unfortunately, his what's the thing, the brain thing, early onset Alzheimer's. I feel it really hit the last 2 or 3 books really hard. It really changed the way he wrote because he was now dictating to his assistant rather than writing it himself. And what's his name? Vimes was no longer a very introspective character, but became a very talkative character. And it was, I mean,
have you seen any of the movies?
It was still trying to do the same things. He just didn't have the capacity for it anymore. And I think his book suffered those last few.
Have you seen any of the movies?
Yeah. There was the one they tried to do the Going Postal. I tried to watch that. I didn't like what they did with either Reach or Guilt or with Moist.
What about The Watch? I haven't seen it. It's on Amazon.
I haven't seen that one either. I also saw a bit of Hogfather. They probably did better with that one.
That's
Rhiannon Pratchett,
probably in my top 10 movies of all time. I love Hogfather, and I can quote many passages from it.
Yeah, you're right, Mithril. I know that Rhiannon, the TERFs tried to. It was I think it was Monstrous Regiment. I think they tried to claim Terry as one of their own because they were still women, even though we're pretending to be women. No, that's
Cherry
not what it was going for.
Cherry Littlebottom.
Well, they're known liars, aren't they, in that part of the internet and world? They're hardly ones for any care for integrity or anything, so it doesn't surprise me that they do that.
I mean, fascists gonna fash. They lie, they obfuscate. The purpose of conversation with a fascist is not to conversate, it's to obscure.
Did you see where Candace Owens is now being transvestigated?
Well, she's black, therefore she's masculine. Sorry.
Indeed.
A picture of her when
everything
she was
I say, Owen, you have to filter through a heavy.
Around there at school.
Really my filter's turned on. That way, John.
Had shirt on.
I'm saying that because she's black, she's being masculinized by the white supremacists. That's what I was.
Like Michelle Obama was.
Right. Yep.
Misogynoir.
She had big arms. Same with Serena Williams. And also the woman who beat up the cop in the Olympics.
Is that like a sexual fetish that they just have, or just black people just being?
Oh massive? Yeah, you see cuck porn. Cuck porn is racist as fuck.
Oh yeah.
It's the intersection of several of their things, isn't it? Like sorry.
And then what the comment I always make is that they don't know that trans men exist because that's not in their porn stash.
No. They don't care about trans men because going up to a man is an elevation in status, whereas going down to a woman is humiliation and degradation, and therefore they have to find a way to justify that because they're evil pieces of shit who think women are less than men. They understand why a woman would want to pretend to be a man. They can't understand why a man would want to pretend to be a woman. And I want to say again, I don't mean the word pretend. I'm using their language.
And
trans women were banned from chess championship.
I mean, they had to segregate chess things by gender because women wanted to compete with men. Like, what the fuck? Oh, are their tiny little lady brains going to beat yours and make you embarrassed as fuck? Fuck you, Magnus.
And even better
Anderson,
than that,
or whatever the fuck your Norse name is.
I've said Amy Schneider.
I'm gonna be honest. I never understood how men act like this because as a man,
I think it's because you're autistic and we just don't get shit like that.
That's also possible too. I mean, being autistic, and I like extend this to being black and autistic and having to deal with black people shit because I feel like shit's even worse when you have to deal with it for black people. But it's just like there's just a lot of shit I don't get that they do. There's just a lot of shit that I don't get, and I'm sure there's a lot of bullshit they don't get. That I do that they don't get either, but it's just...
There are so many times I'm driving Uber and my passengers ask me, once again, the same 5 inane goddamn questions. And my response is always, I don't know how to answer that.
Same
What's your favorite place you've ever lived? I lived in a place. There were people. I had friends. I lived there. How is it a favorite place? It was a place I was young. It didn't hurt to stand up. What the fuck do you want from me?
To tie into what the post that was shared,
Mhm.
which is there a way of showing it at all in this chat, or like someone read it or something?
Oh,
Because it
yeah,
was
yes. I have it like I posted to like my
Geek
news guy,
is
so I can
all
like.
over the internet. That's why Geek has the little flower on the. Oh no, it's
Yes,
actually on you right now. That flower is the Scarlet
here we
Pimpernel.
go.
It's a novel from the early 20th century about a spy who left a Scarlet Pimpernel on the pillows of the people he fucked with. And Geek is the Scarlet Pimpernel of the left because Geek is fucking everywhere.
Yeah,
he's Geek's a fantastic poster
yeah.
across the internet.
And I want
So
to
yeah,
apologize
yeah.
to everyone who is anywhere in the South for having lesbian porn on the screen right now.
What?
The meme in the lower right corner, a pair of
Oh,
Oh, I
scissors,
can't
yeah.
even see
two
the
pairs of
screen.
scissors. When you have a couple of pairs of
I was
scissors, that's
I
very.
don't
lesbian
see a
porn.
meme, so
It's on
It's
the
a pair
what?
of
It's on.
scissors
okay.
and then two pairs of scissors. What is
I
two
see
pairs
it
of
now.
scissors?
I wasn't
Two
on the
pairs of
YouTube
scissors
page.
is
I was
lesbian
getting.
porn because scissoring.
I was very confused then for a second.
Well,
I was
there's,
looking at
there's
the.
one of the lesbian groups I belong to on Facebook. Every once in a while, we just have a meme day where everybody shares their memes and whatever.
Mhm.
And one of them is rock paper, and then it's two lesbians kissing.
It's,
Speaking of lesbians
from us,
kissing,
it's okay.
you were going to share your prison tattoo story. I
will
know I
share
took
the
kind of a hard turn there, but I mean,
I will
women in
share the
prison,
milder
lesbians.
one. It's the shorter one, okay? Because the other one involved a felony, but I will share the milder one, okay? So I'm working down. This is in my dead life, so to speak, and I'm working in Oklahoma,
Mhm.
and
Oh, I'm
living
sorry.
in a very small town. Yeah, I was sorry too. I lived there 4 years, which was 10 years too long. I'm working in a very small town, like 800 people, okay? Just barely bigger than a village. And I'm working at the local dairy farm, yay, where I got my nose broken by a cow once, and then I got kicked in the head by a cow. But anyway, so I
Why
was
would they
coming
kick
out.
you? You're jacking them off.
Yeah, no, wrong house. I was coming out of work, okay, after working 13 hours at the dairy farm, because that's the shifts we did. And this truck was pulling out, also milk truck, okay, and it passed me on the road, fine, cool, no dandy. But this is in the winter, and once in a great while, you have precipitation in the winter, okay, and so it kicked up a chunk of ice, and I swerved my truck, and I'm glad I did because it hit right in the middle. If it hadn't, it would have hit on the passenger side or the driver's side, okay. And it's still, I mean, I wouldn't bust it through the windshield, but it cracked and started the windshield, which is illegal in Oklahoma. So I got a ticket, and I didn't have the money to pay a ticket. So I was living with a roommate. He was also working at the time at the same dairy farm. And a cop who I knew came up to me and knocked on the door and opened the door. And he said, he said my name. And he said, I got a warrant for your arrest. And I said, okay, what are you going to do? Run? And so I turned around to my roommate and I said, I got to go. And I was cooking supper. He's like, what am I going to do with this? So I don't know. I'm going to jail. Why would I care? So I go to get in the car, and he says, if you put your seatbelt on, I don't have to handcuff you. Okay. So we're yakking the whole way over there. It's like,
oh, that's a way to tell you're white.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So I get over there. I'm not done. I get over there, and they're like, the admitting officer in the jail, right? He's like, take this stuff out of your pocket. So I start, and I have a jackknife. And he looks at the cop. His name is Neil something or other. Okay. And he looked at the cop, and of course, this is a dead gender, but he looks at the cop, and the cop looks at him and goes, oh, he's okay. Again, because I'm white. Okay. And he knew me. So I spent a week and a half in jail because I had to pay the fine, and I didn't get paid until that following payday or whatever. So I spent a week and a half in jail, and that was my mild jail story.
Ridiculous country. Like, genuinely, what a silly place America is.
And then the other one involved a felony and a couple of wounds, so I'm not going to go into that one.
Okay, yeah, but no, that's an example of that. Like, if if the punishment is like just a fine to someone like that, then it's just only a crime for poor people as well too.
Right, that's true. That's true too.
Any marginalized group, right? Any group that's on the bottom of some
unlike
social
one of
rung.
my sisters who spent 7 years in prison for arson.
Yeah.
I went to juvenile detention for stabbing my father, but it was because of it, like me and him never
Okay,
got
no, you cannot just brush past that shit.
That's a story in of itself. So I say,
I
are
mean,
you
that is
comfortable
both the
telling?
most Florida thing
I
and the most black thing ever. Sorry, I mean, black in
no,
America.
no, I mean, I just repeat what you just said. I didn't hear you.
He was being a dipshit.
Oh no, I'm
Okay.
saying that you cannot just walk past that. Stabbing your father is the most Florida thing and the most black thing.
All right.
Definitely the most Florida thing.
Yeah. Well, and
Was there an alligator involved? Was there a monkey? Was the
no,
monkey
but
drunk?
I can explain. I don't mind explaining it.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Let him
your
explain.
childhood was
You
not
mind
great.
about
You don't
me
have
talking,
to.
people? Let him explain.
Go ahead, Isaiah.
No, I was saying that so when my mom died when I was 11, this was back in 2003.
Mhm.
Um, it went downhill with me and my dad from then. So me and him never got along. I don't, and I think that was mostly because of the trauma that her death brought. Because my mom was a single mom. I think her and my dad had divorced before, I guess I got born, or I
Well,
don't
the
remember.
uncertainty there says a lot about what's going on in your family.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really meet him till I was like 6 years old. It was like 99 when I met him for the first time. 98, 99, 2000. I think it was before 2000. Well, it had to have been like 98, 99, 2000-ish. I don't quite remember. But I didn't meet him till I was like 6. I didn't meet him till I was like a bit older. But yeah, after she died, me and him just never got along. It was like just like, verbal abusive shit. Sometimes he would be physical. Sometimes when my brother from another mother would show up, would like my dad and my brother would get along, but they would never get along with me. I was always the ugly duckling, you can say, in that family. And I will say being autistic probably did affect that. Let's they would always make fun of me for being into like more like paranormal because this is when I was in the Bermuda Triangle shit. Like I was into like paranormal shit they didn't like, so But fast forward to like 2010, after all of that, um we were like arguing over the TV, something stupid, something dumb. And I took out some scissors and I like slashed him, and I thought because like we had gotten in like a little scrap and like a little fight, and or as Owen would call them, fisticuffs. That's that we'll use the call them fisticuffs.
Marquis of Canterbury rules. Queensborough.
I've never used the term fisticuffs.
I mean,
But you're
it's a
British.
good
It's a
word,
British
though.
turd.
I mean, no.
Like-
I can't imagine that the scissors just come out of nowhere. There had to have been so much shit going into that you probably
Oh
would need
yeah,
a couple of years of therapy to unpack.
it was like my dad like punched me in the stomach hard one time because my brother lured me into his room and my dad caught me.
Sorry that happens.
Like even before this, like I had thrown like because I had thrown like a magazine at my dad because like it was just like I had just snapped and just like threw a magazine, and my dad basically like bitch slapped me in the face. Like it was literally that hard. Right? Like
Yeah.
and I called 911, and the police showed up, and the police officer tried to like even agree with my dad. It was like, yeah, I would have punched my
well,
son
yeah.
too.
I mean, you're brown. Obviously, the cops are going to agree you need to be smacked.
And it's a cop.
Yeah, it's a cop.
There's that intersectional element of it as well, though, right?
There's some like Ethel Cain Southern Gothic shit right there. The cop agrees to slap their autistic son.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
that intersection between disability and race and class is quite prevalent in this story. I'm very sorry it happened to you.
Although to be fair, I didn't have a horrible life with my mom, or it was a pretty good, like with my mom at least. It was a pretty.
Right.
It it wasn't like a horrible upbringing with her, but it was only with my dad. That's when shit started to
Hmm.
downhill. And I remember my mom wanting to right before she died, she wanted to stress the importance of money to me
Hmm.
because she worked as an
I mean, she's
accountant.
not wrong.
Yeah.
She worked as an accountant for the Attorney General of the state of Florida. So it was a pretty important job she had. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I wonder if my mom would have done better with my autism than my dad would have.
There's an element of I guess like a toxic masculinity that prevents people from being as open discussing disabilities, isn't there? Because I think
Mhm.
we have such an image portrayed to us from a young age of like what masculinity is, what being a man is, what
Mhm.
the ideal man is, that the characteristics of sort of your typical neurodivergence, and in this case autism, are
Hmm.
often perceived in such a negative way and
Well,
covered in such a negative way that
and
it makes people reticent to actually discuss that a person might have some neurodivergence and not just be like a failed man or like not living up to
Well, well,
masculinity.
well, yeah,
Hmm.
I'll add to that, Owen. That's why I think a lot of autistic men actually join incel communities because I think there's that for I think for a lot of us we lack that toxic masculine profile, and for a lot of autistic men, we kind of lack that in a lot of
I
ways.
would say instead that we lack the tools for typically measurable success.
Hmm.
It's difficult for us to easily walk into a conversation and walk out with a girl who's willing to talk to us.
Hmm.
Um, it's difficult for us to walk into a job and walk out with money.
Hmm.
They're all generalizations, aren't they? I mean, I feel like
Yeah,
I would just say I don't give a shit about any of those.
yeah. And that's a big part of why it's difficult for us because it's like, I don't value the things you value, and therefore I'm not going to put up with your bullshit.
Hmm.
And a lot of people do value that bullshit. And
So,
thus
so
we end
basically,
up alone and lonely. And it's easy for us to fall into a community that stereotypes.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
or
it's also
tells us
appealing.
that we're not wrong for the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also appealing to a lot of people that you know, your life is going to shit. You think your life is going to shit, and then you have some guy who comes along who, first of all, fits the quote unquote masculine stereotype anyway.
Unless
Yeah.
it's
And
Andrew
tells
Tate.
you, look, your life is shit, but it's because of women. It's because of
Yeah.
these people.
Yeah.
If you have an
yeah,
Scapegoating.
excuse,
that far
that's a
right
very good.
hijacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Which
mean,
I
interestingly, sorry, you go ahead, Isaiah.
No, I was just saying like I mean, so it's not that we're like a problem biologically. It's just society. It's just us as society have different priorities, right?
Well, it links nicely to the post that was shared. Is there a way of showing it like on the screen so the people watching can see it? Because
It's,
or could
it,
someone just read it or something? Because
I can
it's
read
quite
it.
interesting. Yeah, go on.
Well, I have to like find it again because I clicked on the wrong thing as well too. Okay, so this is from like Isaiah shared this with us. Like he found this like post from like r/evil autism. The title is "Autism is only disability under capitalism." Changed my mind. To which like the poster first like vengeful autism. He made an edit, changed the title to "Disability Effects are greatly amplified under capitalism." After learning more from people in the comments, and decided to like change the title to a more suitable one. But like his post goes on, I was thinking of posting this one on r/autism to reply to a post saying how they wish for a cure to autism, but decided against it. I know you guys understand what I'm trying to say the most. What I'm trying to say is that like the alienation of the individual within capitalism leads to increasing levels of discrimination for autistic people. For a society which values productivity and profits at its highest like goal, competition between individuals is seen as necessary. This is often lead to like autistic people being discriminated against, as most of them like do not fit into neurotypical social roles, which upholds these capitalist values. In other words, because everyone is so focused on their individual goals, it creates a lack of community where autistic people and others are able to like understand and accept each other. Autism is seen as a disability because the autistic person is unable to be productive. Um, it can be a productive cog in the capitalist system that requires the the requirements of extra support, e.g., sensory processing, etc., is unable to fulfill through any profit-driven incentive. To me, it is absolutely unreasonable for people, are outcasts, and for being unable to like understand social cues and have increasing sensitivity or have weird behaviors, weird within quotes. It is like a symptom of a society which values extreme individual achievements in capitalism. Personalities are manufactured to suit a certain job, e.g., the cool professionalism of like the shopping mall cashier, and anybody who is like seen as a other is immediately ostracized. Therefore, social isolation, the development of like mental issues such as like depression and anxiety and other like health related problems are consequences of late stage capitalism, which ignore, do not, which ignore and do not cater towards like others like needs. Do you guys agree? I will.
Yeah. I mean, I think autism. It's really easy to see how being neurodivergent would be helpful when you're part of a community. Having
Mhm.
weird sensitivity issues can alert you to things that others wouldn't notice, and then they investigate them, and maybe it's helpful, maybe it isn't. I mean,
Thing is,
having
the thing is,
weird abilities to inability to focus on some things, ability to hyper focus on other things if you're ADHD, right?
Mhm.
Is a thing that could be helpful in ways that are good for the community, so long as not everyone is like that. I mean, you want different people in a community. You don't want everyone to be the same
yeah.
unless you're a fucking Tory. That's a shout out for Owen.
Go on, Isaiah. What were you gonna say? I'm no Tory.
No, I'm just saying that for
No,
us as
I know what you're
Republicans,
saying. Yeah.
our fascists are called Republicans. Your fascists are called Margaret Thatcher.
Oh,
I've got about 20. You're gonna say something, Isaiah, a second ago.
no,
Our
I would.
fascists are called Democrats too.
They're liberals. They carry water for fascists. They're not fascists. I would push back on that. Sorry.
If you have 11 people sit down on a table and one is a Nazi and the other
They're
10
not
sit
allowed
down
at the table. That's the thing.
Say for it a second, eh? Go on, Isaiah. What were you gonna say?
But Isaiah.
I was saying that I think it would be a disability under both under capitalism and another system. It's just how would the economic system of a country that wasn't capitalist treat the disability? Because see, here in America, everything's based, and autistic people aren't really profitable. But it's not. But see, but a lot of us are very productive. It's just society doesn't want to market our abilities, and that's not our fault. So
Yeah.
it's not my fault if you don't want to market my talent. My talent is still my talent, and you can just go fuck yourself. It is.
I'm sorry, Isaiah. We can't have a discussion if you just tell the truth and put a period on it.
I think there's a
Too
really
bad.
People don't want to
there's a
hear
really good point there, isn't there? I mean, I think the fact, I mean, even the I'm looking at the image now, and even within the title, like there's almost like a grouping that takes place when we use the word autism, because when we think about neurodivergence, modern sort of contemporary mainstream thought often groups it into very discrete, like certain categories. Like it's very
The good ones
fixed,
and the
like
bad ones. Yeah.
what a person's in. When you say autism, exactly, there's a stereotype, and so good autism might be being really good with numbers and being very productive and mathematical, whereas bad autism is not listening and not being able to read a social cue. But both of these things are subjective. They're sort of produced for different moments, because you could equally flip either of those situations around, and in different circumstances, they would be adverse to the situation.
Well,
I think that
go ahead, Owen.
no, you go.
I was saying so like. I guess my autism was always just like, oh, he knows a lot about science, so he must be really smart. When it's kind of like, no, it's just I just like science. Like I'm sure like if I'm talking to like a guy who's like really into football, it's like you're really into you seem to be smarter about football than I am, so I'm not smart in football, I guess. So
And that's sort of
you know something that I don't. So I'm not.
exactly right. Like there's no.
Mhm.
I feel like everyone, everyone's got a fixation. Everyone's got a thing they're really interested in.
Yeah.
It's just the way society codes itself is going to mean some people's interest will be perceived in a different way to others because sport is such a big thing. The person that could tell you every single winner of the Super Bowl going back 60 years might not be seen in the same way as a person who could tell you. I'm trying to think of something that's coded, like someone who's got like every single comic edition of some kind, or someone who's watched every single episode of Star Trek or something. Like one of those things is coded differently to the other based on our sort of stereotypes. And so one, even though both are clearly examples of fixations, one has the coding of autistic and the other one doesn't.
I
Football
think
is
it's
America.
also has a lot to do with class because
Mhm.
if you have somebody who's walking around in a monk's habit, okay, and a staff.
Don't forget the tonsure, the weird
Yeah, exactly.
bald spot. I don't get
Exactly.
that. That was weird.
Unless they're at a Ren fair, people
They
think they're
circumcise their heads.
off, et cetera, et cetera. But if you have money, and especially if you're white and have money, then you're just eccentric. It's accepted.
Yeah.
You're eccentric.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it that's why there's kind of a joke like in my head that I couldn't fit in like I was too white for black people and I wasn't black enough for white people wanting to become black because when you're a minority and you're on the spectrum, you don't technically like things that you would that white supremacy would stereotype black people to have.
Yeah, well, it's just a racism thing, isn't it? I mean, that's true of
Well, the same
neurodivergent or otherwise. Like,
yeah, when same thing with women too, because people always used to think women weren't into like things like Star Trek, and in reality, that's not true.
Yeah.
It's
Jerry
just,
Ryan proved that was false.
Mhm.
She had boobs.
society's a silly place is the sort of the theme, really, isn't it? I mean, even with, I mean, if we were completely honest, every single person is neurodivergent because if you think about the mean average of every like condition in society or every sort of thing you could measure someone on, most people are going to be, yeah, sure, by the mean average, but then people are going to be at the edges, the outliers. And if you go for every category, there's always going to be an outlier. But like the person who's exactly normal, completely in the middle of everything, is the outlier because no one is that statistically normal. Like there's always going to be some divergence from the overall center. So, but the thing is, because of the as we sort of said, as that post says, because we're measured on productivity, how useful we are to the capitalist class to make generate profits and stuff. If an autistic person is unable to keep themselves regulated and fit a system a certain way, they're going to be medicalized and thought of a certain way. I mean, the long, shameful history of how people have treated those perceived as different, be it disability or any sort of difference,
what about
is awful.
what about an autistic person who's like a celebrity? What about them?
Well, I mean,
Um,
there's millions, right? Because
mhm.
most won't like an actor that's good at acting isn't going to be judged for things that are different in the same way that the average person is. And so there's probably many of our favorite actors would be considered neurodivergent, but we don't give it the thought to you don't spend time thinking, oh, that person's autistic. Well, maybe some people do, but
I think if the character that they're playing is coded too, because back in the day, I used to watch Law and Order a lot. And one of my favorite versions of it was Criminal Intent.
Yeah.
You're a
Because
bad person.
although
That's the show with the alcoholic baby.
right. Although they never came out and said it directly, to my knowledge, from my memory, Bobby was definitely on the spectrum.
Yeah.
That's
I don't remember if the
Yes.
actors too.
Yes. Vincent J. D'Onofrio, I don't know if he's come out of being autistic as well too, but it wouldn't
his
surprise me.
characters are usually on the spectrum, in my experience. Kingpin, alcoholic baby, bug dude. Edgar.
So what? Someone's gonna have to explain alcoholic baby to me. What?
Yeah, I don't know that
he has
too.
short hair and he's unshaven and his face is very round and he looks like a dude who's both an alcoholic and a giant baby.
Okay.
This is John Brockman.
That's my
This is John
take
Brockman.
on Criminal Intent. Is that Vincent D'Onofrio is playing a giant alcoholic baby?
Still one of my favorite characters for that show.
Yeah.
I only like the original Law and Order because that's the only one that's like a police procedural. The rest of them are feelings.
More drama involved.
Yeah.
I will say
They're
like
soap operas with cops. Where
I like
the cops are bad people. Because
I like
cops,
soap operas.
and cops are bad people.
Have you guys seen SWAT, the new one with Shamir Moore? Have you guys seen that one?
No, I try not to watch cop shows.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Okay, The X-Files, is that a cop show? Because they do have the FBI.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
it's propaganda.
It's very good though. I mean, it's
QAnon propaganda. Yeah.
Arguably, at this point, there's more bad X-Files than good X-Files.
Yes, unfortunately, it is. Now, I did went to like.
I mean, it has Gillian
Anderson.
Gillian Anderson. She's hot. She's a redhead. She's bisexual. Love her.
It's like we got regular police officers going after, I don't know, a three-headed snake. It's fun. And I love the creepy. I just love everything about the X-Files. It's one of my favorite.
The 90s was a different time. I'll say that.
Good theme tune too.
Yeah.
We had a black president, and people thought America was still okay.
I tell you what, the ultimate propaganda show
and
is.
as
It's
soon
got
as
to
we
be.
got a black president, all the racism went away, right?
Were you about to say Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
No, the ultimate propaganda. No, it's 24 with Jack Bauer.
Oh,
any 24.
He didn't torture someone. He interrogated them intensely.
So good at propaganda show that actual members of the Supreme Court and Republican Party use it as an example of the justifications of torture. Because if Jack Bauer could save the day torturing his way through terrorist agencies,
then I can get my kid into school ahead of the line.
I remember about 24. That was like peak aughts 9/11 paranoia. Like I. Oh, like
the ironic thing, I watched a fantastic video by John Boyes, who goes into some of the nonsense of 24, but it doesn't portray America and its agencies as a very good light, because a nuclear bomb that is detonated in LA at one point in this show. Like, by all measures, the terrorists have won completely. Like, they've achieved.
No. They destroyed one of our ports. We still have New York and New Orleans, and technically that stupid, weird, cold place where Jonathan lives.
Seattle.
Air Force One gets shot down.
They had all the big to-do about waterboarding.
Mm-hmm.
And the one of the very, very few times that I gave any props whatsoever to Christopher Hitchens, because he can pull Mahone otherwise, is that he said many times on Fox, I'm not going to call it the Fox N-word, okay, because it ain't news.
It's called news.
Or fixed noise. But he said many times there and in other places, waterboarding isn't torture, waterboarding isn't torture. Somebody kind of asked him / dared him. He said, sure, I'll do it. So did Sean Hannity around the same time. So Christopher Hitchens got waterboarded and came out and said, oh, no, it's torture.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean Hannity said he was going to get waterboarded for the troops. And yeah, okay.
He didn't, because he's a lying piece of shit, Republican, coward, hypocrite, motherfucker, racist, motherfucker.
Scumbag.
He needs to be deprecated.
I bring up 24 because 24 had a character called Chloe O'Brien, who was for a long time quite a one of the more openly perceived autistic characters on television. And it's interesting that they portrayed her fastidiousness and a real aid to Jack Bauer's.
I just remember that.
No, my internet stuttered for a second. Go ahead and go back a sentence.
So I was just saying that 24 had a character called Chloe O'Brien, who was like a tech expert for the team, for Jack Bauer basically. But she was coded as autistic because she was quite meticulous, a bit fussy over things, a little bit not at the same rhythm as the sort of generic agency characters. But she was overwhelmingly portrayed as one of the most competent and adept characters on the show.
Mm.
And so it's interesting that even as 24 was basically just propaganda for various, the Patriot Act and stuff.
Like that. That name,
Yeah.
Power. That is like peak German.
I have a problem sometimes with the autistic characters being portrayed, even though it's through their autism, being portrayed as really good at this or really good at that, because sometimes, depending upon the character, okay, but sometimes to me it kind of hits the model minority.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
Yeah.
It says this is
I
the
think
this
that
is
the
the
show-
acceptable way of
sorry.
autism to be portrayed. No, you go ahead, Sly. You go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that the show Bones did a really good job. I
Oh,
mean, it's
so
still
I thought you said the
propaganda.
show. I thought you were
It
saying the show
stars,
Bones and it was terrible.
David Boreanaz and Emily Deschanel did a really good job with an autistic character. They never call her autistic, but she's very autistic coded. And that she has trouble understanding people, trouble with emotions. She's very focused on her job with the details. And I think they did a really good job showing her as a complicated, emotional person who has trouble relating with people, even though it's still propaganda with magic technology.
You guys ever seen the movie Please Stand By with Dakota Fanning? Have you guys seen that one?
No.
Where
No,
Dakota
is that the one where she's a Star Trek fan who writes a script? Okay.
Yeah.
She travels across the country. She's just past the deadline, and she gets really upset with them because she tried really hard and they accept her script.
And Patton Oswalt is a cop who talks Klingon to her.
Mhm.
I like that.
I mean, I can believe that from Patton Oswalt. I could also believe it from any character he plays, but I believe it extra hard from Patton Oswalt.
Mhm.
Why so Patton Oswalt?
I mean, I don't know that Dakota Fanning is an autistic person, but she, as I understand, did a really, really good job portraying an autistic girl, really dedicated to the Star Trek fandom in that show or movie.
I know, yeah, she's not autistic, but it was a really good, like attempt. Really good.
Mhm.
Like, like better than that shit Sia did, obviously.
Oh, that movie
I think
was
that it taps
apparently
into
terrible.
what you were saying, Siobhan, about the model minority and how because there's such a almost like permitted way neurodivergence can be portrayed on screen. The culmination of that is awful like abomination projects like the Sears film.
Mhm.
And like of
Context
other
said,
minorities as well, right? Like it's what's that The Good Doctor with Charlie Bucket from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Mhm.
That
Context
sounds very
said,
familiar.
where'd it go? Context said, don't get me started on savant inspiration porn.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's okay that your life is hard so long as you're good at one thing.
Oh, right. Sorry, my mind went elsewhere then for a second. Brilliant.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no,
you're
just
looking at
dreadful,
porn while
yeah.
you're on here.
Or we get a lot of it. I don't know about there, but a lot of it here in the States, we get the story about the kid who had Down syndrome who just wanted to play one game, and so he hit the ball, and they kept kind of pretending to drop the ball so they could run around the bases and make a home run, or getting a little bit more into class, the little girl who was in a chair, and the insurance wouldn't pay for her for a new chair for her, so the school's robotics club made her a chair. Okay. Or the little boy, and there's been more than one story of this little boy who saved up all his money and paid off all the kids' school lunch debt.
Yeah, a joke, isn't it?
They're supposed to be there for 8 hours a day by law. Give them free food.
This goes back to that inherent corruption in capitalism and American society. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to like a former coworker that one that hates Planned Parenthood because they're a baby killing factory. Oh no, she's seen the propaganda and believes that wholeheartedly that Planned Parenthood would like fish out like a a fetus out of a woman's body is worth it. It's just, yeah, it's like terrible. But no, she's like, well, if people that like are have the disabilities, there is like one thing that they can do, something like that. Let's just like put them at a station and have them do that one thing for like as long as they are possibly do this. Right then and there, it's like I've rejected that as word too. I don't want to like put people to work, even if regardless if like they're disabled or
Hey,
not.
hey,
But it's
hey,
just
hey,
like.
hey. Our toll roads need people to collect quarters and inhale exhaust. What are we going to do if we don't put Crips there? God.
I just say I would do good. Like, I would do good working at a museum. I don't know.
Well, that goes into the second.
Do good doing it, working at a lot of places. I don't know.
Like that, the second or one of the other major problems is that because the capitalist society, to go back to the post and sort of what we've all been saying, like we're pigeonholed into certain forms of work and productivity because the capitalist class and the capitalist drive for constant growth and profit demands constant utilization of labor and constant direction of people into what is profitable for them here and now at this moment. As you say, Isaiah, if we lived in a slightly better, healthier society where people had a bit more time to think about what they actually are better at doing and are healthier and happier doing, and if jobs were something that were community based and actually of the society that produced it, and not just because, you know, corporation X needs to rake in as much money as it can, you'd have people not burning out and feeling exhausted from social interaction because they're in places that are healthy for them and are able to do it. Be it high functioning people who can do the lots of social interaction but maybe need like a certain routine, or people who don't like the social side of it but were happy to be quietly working on a project or using their other skills to grow. Like there's such a world of possibility that is available to us if we sort of get the get the overarching economic system out of the way first.
I don't mind socializing with people. I actually don't. I don't mind it. But
I do.
I mean,
Sometimes.
it just depends. Like, I guess if we're like into like, I don't know, stuff like this, but see, then it, like, I don't know. Like, I can talk to people just fine.
Exactly, because everyone there's no it's not like it's a binary between like, oh, normal and autistic. Like it's a series of dozens of spectrums.
I will
Like
say also that Dakota Fanning being a massive Star Trek fan is like the girlfriend in another universe that I
Well, she's
cannot.
blonde, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. Canadian.
She's from Georgia, though. She's from Georgia.
Nah,
You know?
Georgia is the
Sorry.
Canada of the South. Yeah, no.
Georgia is the Kentucky of the South.
Sure. So, yeah. Okay.
Hashtag not all of Georgia.
I don't know how to address it.
Atlanta doesn't count. Atlanta is just capitalist nightmare.
Well, what the cops said,
the
you know.
entire nation is.
good
but-
TV show though.
Yeah, it's written by the poet.
Yes. Atlanta is.
I don't really watch. Go ahead, John.
Atlanta is by like the Donald Glover. Yeah, Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, Childish Gambino.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah,
It's
Childish
a
Gambino.
magic realism comedy rap music TV show.
Yeah, it's another show that has a black guy I don't watch because I'm terrible.
Oh yeah, Joe McClary, that's very true. Talking to people versus being able to deal with people treating you like a servant are different skills. Yeah, God, working retail just sucks, honestly. Or working like fast food as well too. But then again, I did work.
There's a reason I do not drive Uber Sunday mornings. I don't want to deal with the Jesus freaks.
I worked in a Jewish deli in DC I was the head cashier there for over a year. And the worst were a lot of the Jewish customers who came in after Shabbat. I was Jewish at the time, who came in after Shabbat, and then the Christian Sunday morning, because I usually work double shift on Sundays because I made a whole $8 an hour. Oh boy! I'm living in DC. I wasn't squat. This is in 2005. And oh my God, like there were other customers that would come up to me after, because it's a small place. So the other customers, it's a deli and a restaurant. So the other customers would come up to me after they left. And like, we're so sorry that person is a bitch, or we're so sorry he's an asshole, or whatever. You know, I'm retail. I have to sit there and smile and take it, you know, until it gets
Joke.
like my dad used to say, you can, as long as the shit only stays here, you're fine. Once the shit gets above your chin, time to go.
Yeah. Just on a completely unrelated note, Siobhan, I just noticed that the clock behind you is backwards. You've got a clock with
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's anti-clockwise. That's so cool.
I bought that intentionally. In fact, I saw it on Amazon. Oh, I've had it for 2 years. I saw it on Amazon. Yeah, I was looking for clocks because my physical obsessions are plushies, clocks, and trains. And I have, in fact, sitting over there, a train, steampunk train, because I love steampunk, that is also a clock.
Okay, so if you want to do trains, I'll show you a fucking train.
Somebody got dropped or something. Where'd he go?
No, I just spotlighted you so that everyone can see your clock.
Okay.
Your weird backwards clock, which is weird and wrong and bad.
I quite like it, actually. That's quite makes me put a smile on my face, Siobhan.
Right. Hey, it took me a while to get used to it. Because now I can look at it and go, oh yeah, that's what it is. Also an hour fast because I haven't changed it.
So still on daylight savings time. Yes. Right. Oh no,
I don't like my computer will change. So like if I need to make a doctor's appointment or something, other than that, I don't care. I don't change my clocks.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is the real time that like is on, not like the fake like daylight savings time as well too. We're just lying to ourselves as well too, or like when we do the daylight savings things, I should say as well too, because we're not right now not in daylight savings. But like now the clocks are involved, I think it got like, well, at least you only have like two, and one's backwards as well too, or anti-clocks as well too. You don't have like several like Lord of Patriarchy or like War Corp 66 as. Anyway, yes. No, Isaiah is showing off his trains.
Well, this is
some nice locomotives.
Locomotive was Santa. You know, Owen, I gotta give it to you, British people. You have some of the most beautiful trains out there. Especially
found the creation of the steam engine happened in Scotland thanks to James Watt and his slave-owning horrible family. But
you know the rocket, right? The first steam train. The most Dr. Seuss looking thing you like. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Although
it's on my bucket list to write it. I've never ridden a train. I've been to one play in my life, which was the Laramie Project. That was a rough one. And then I've never been to a ballet. I've never been to a classical concert. Those are the three things on my bucket list.
I have been to a ballet because we got like a ballet here in Seattle, so I saw the Nutcracker as well too, and it's like a couple of times. It's like it was great production.
Of course, I'd love to see it. I'm despite the fact that I'm a Celtic pagan and an atheist, I'm fanatic about Christmas, as anybody who knows me knows.
Yeah.
I have all the Christmas, especially cartoons. I have all the Christmas cartoons, a lot of the Christmas movies, etc. And here in Coopersville, Michigan, we have a theme train, and it runs 4 times a year. In the spring, they call it the spring train. It's Easter, whatever.
Yeah.
And in the winter, they call it the holiday train, Christmas. Okay.
Yeah.
But and then in the summer, it's just once a year they have what they call the Great Train Robbery. It goes out 20 miles into the woods. Okay, because like my hometown is about 8,000 people, and it's right in the center of about a couple 100,000 acres. And then they turn around and they come back. So when they go out, they have a I think it's called a roundabout, where the engine can switch around, okay, to come to the front to pull it back in. So while the engine is doing that, people come up on horses and rob the train. And they give the passengers like chocolate coins to give to the crooks, you know, and then they end up giving them all back and whatever. But it's a lot of fun. I'd love to take my daughter and my grandson there. My grandson's, oh God, he's 17 now. Holy shit, I'm getting old. He's 17. I'm 6'1". He's 4 inches taller than I am. He outweighs me by 50 pounds, and I'm not little. And he wears a size 16 shoe.
Wow.
At 17.
Big boy.
Guy. I mean, like a puppy grow into his feet.
And that's another good link to autism, Christmas and trains,
yes.
and science.
I love
Mhm.
Christmas, especially like I love Christmas so much that I bought like vintage 80s Christmas lights. My
Mhm.
But like the whole, even like the whole, if we're being really analytical, the fact that people have decided, like society's decided to have this whole concentration of routine on this
Mhm.
one day in particular,
Yeah.
and there's an exact routine for every single year that has to be followed, and there's traditions which are so ingrained into the social
Mhm.
conscious that it would be almost
Rituals.
unseemly. Exactly, right? Like if we're really being analytical, then everything there points to
And I like
some
Home Alone,
similarity.
so Steve, fuck you.
Steve does not like the movie Home Alone. I'm indifferent to
Steve.
his
I
Steve
li-
Shives. Steve Shives, our friend. Steve
Yeah.
Oh,
Shives.
oh, right, okay, Steve.
Oh,
It's
and
it's okay. It's okay.
Home Alone.
To be fair, Home Alone is the only movie John Hughes made that doesn't have sexual assault in it.
Isaiah, speaking of
Yes,
Christmas, before we go on to something else,
Mhm.
yes.
like I said, I have probably literally 30 Christmas cartoons going all the way back to 1936.
Okay.
Okay. And I have a ton of Christmas movies. And if you want, because I have the skill, I can rebuild it. Sorry, that's a 70s reference. I have the ability to shrink the file sizes, and so I can upload them to Dropbox if you want, and you can download them.
Oh, please, yeah.
Mhm.
I'll give you a list of what I have, and then whatever you don't have or whatever. And I also have the where is it? It's over there somewhere. The Blu-ray collector's edition of Rudolph, because that's one of my. I've literally seen it over 100 times.
Mhm.
I've never missed a year since 1964.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just gonna say it, Rudolph, anti-Semitic.
Well,
Because
here's
who
the
knows?
here's the thing. A lot of people diss Rudolph, and initially I agreed with them. I didn't realize quite the timeline, so to speak. Okay, so a lot of people diss Rudolph because he's useless to them unless he's got the nose and blah 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 and whatever. And if you actually look at the movie, that's not the case because everybody apologizes to him and to Yukon Cornelius
Mhm.
and to Hermie. Okay, etc. Everybody apologizes. We were assholes. You were right. Before the nose happens.
Yeah. Exactly. Home Alone 2 pushes Kevin recording his uncle in the shower. I forgot about that scene.
I'm glad I didn't see it.
My good, like, what other films did John Hughes do, by the way? I was just when you said a
Oh,
second ago.
John Hughes movies, like 16 Candles, to see The Breakfast Club,
Not
Ferris
seen
Bueller's
that.
Day in Love, but like
National
Seen
Lampoon's
Ferris Bueller.
Vacation. He did a lot of movies with
Not seen
a
that
lot of
one.
rape.
yeah, there's a lot
It
of
is
like,
that's a lot of directors, isn't it? But back in the hot like it's
The
our culture
80s were
sadly
a very
is
bad time full of Republicans.
and the
Yes.
70s and 60s and every other decade of American
You know,
history.
that I like.
And then in the 90s, we got people pushing back by saying, hey, we should still be allowed to make movies with rape. Because rape is funny. It's funny.
Right.
Shut up. Shut
I mean,
up.
that
Enough
also
about- Enough about Joss Whedon.
was that I missed
He
that,
didn't
sorry.
want to make
Or-
movies about rape. He just wanted to rape.
yeah,
The fact
Joss
No,
Whedon.
actually, I don't think Joss Whedon wanted to rape. Joss Whedon's
wanted
a piece
control
of shit,
of
but
the
he's not Neil
one of the
Gaiman.
most one of the most beloved
Joss Whedon's
series
not Neil
of all
Gaiman. I'll say
time.
that for him. I think.
One of the most
I
beloved
think.
series of all time, which is basically the Confederacy and
Mhm.
racism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Firefly.
No, Joss Whedon's a complete piece of shit, but I don't think he's a serial rapist in the same way that Neil Gaiman is allegedly a serial rapist.
Not a
Yeah.
fan of Firefly. But just anyway. I thought it was
Yeah.
really overrated.
I
Okay,
agree,
I
yeah.
dislike you.
I'm sorry. I mean, what's he called? Nathan Fillion's a good actor, but Malcolm
Yes.
Reynolds is
Yep.
dull as anything.
But Nathan
didn't
Fillion
like-
also not a great guy. The TV show Castle ended early because he was unwilling to support his co-star Stana Katic when she demanded equal pay to him. When she
Oh.
was the co-star of the fucking show.
That I didn't know. I
Um,
didn't watch
but-
that show anyway. But
What is-
Going back
It was
to
a decent show. It started out really fun and got darker, and a lot of shows get darker and seriouser.
anybody
as
ever
the-
see the show Leverage?
I
No.
liked that show.
Sorry.
What's his name? The main guy with the curly hair got Me Too, which is why he didn't
Yes.
come back for the reboot
Yeah.
sequel. It's a good show. They go
Tim
after
Robbins
the
was in it.
oligarchs. I really like the message of the show. The fact
It's
that the one
basically-
guy got Me Too'd is not a reason not to watch that show, I think.
It's basically a group of con men and women who go after con men and women and trash.
They don't just go after con men, they go after the worst kind of rich white people.
Mm-hmm.
And in one case, an
but-
actual dictator. And they frequently have to tone down what they were going after because, one, people wouldn't believe it. Two, sometimes they might get murdered by the people they're going after.
Upsets the executives of the company. But no, I think the it ties in against the theme that because so much of culture is just unabashedly awful. Like the fact that essentially we've had a very short amount of time, since modern civilization, and where people have actually had, and will never really, if you really think about it, but like for people like rape and sexual assault and harassment and all these awful things and jokes about various minorities and marginalized peoples, all that just to be normal, suggests that the mainstream culture has always had this problematic element to it. And so to call people to make out that there's normal and then there's abnormal, ill, mentally wrong, is a production of that same incorrectness, of that same faulty logic, right?
Humanity sucks. Humanity sucks.
Not humanity, the people in charge of humanity. I refuse to be tarred with the same brush as what's he called, Weinstein and etc.
All right, people. I gotta go. So
Okay.
a little blurb here from you.
Bye, man.
I am the Angry Wrench on Blue Sky. Angry Wrench Speaks is the actual whatever. Just look for the Angry Wrench, okay, on Blue Sky.
You're gonna go be Irish. We get it.
Right. From a home. So I'm the Angry Wrench on Blue Sky. I'm the Angry Wrench Speaks on YouTube. I have a what is it? Linktree hub. I write and sell books online. I do digital art and sell that on T-shirts and cups and stickers and whatever, all that crap. Thank you for the link. And on my show is going to be in about 30 minutes, give or take, 30 minutes. Just a heads up, my show is definitely not suitable for work. I don't care.
She's gonna need like 2 beers, 3 whiskeys just to be able to get her voice working for that. Because she's gonna be screaming.
Oh no, honey, you don't understand. I'm femme and Irish. You don't understand. I don't need any of that. Okay. You know me well.
All right, she's gonna need a couple of hot dogs and some corned beef hash to get screaming.
I could use a couple of hot men. That'd be better.
She's going to down a couple of potatoes. Fuck off.
I am a Irish by descent, Celtic pagan, atheist, omnisexual, binary, former part-time sex worker, trans woman. So I'm gonna feed you bullshit. I might be wrong in my opinion, but it's gonna be my opinion. So, all right. Where's my Zoom? Where the? All right, Geek. What'd you do? You hit it somewhere.
No, I don't blame me. I was just like,
well, I can't blame Isaiah, and I can't blame John.
Okay, you can no blame John.
You can always blame me. I'm a cishet white dude, bro. Come on, I'm always wrong.
Okay. So
it's my fault. I have lesbian porn on the stream.
Oh god, that mean.
Although I don't consider you an incel.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
You do not dare. I've had sex, like at least twice.
And you don't follow Andrew Tate?
Andrew Tate. Oh god, it's like that's
his chin is even weaker than mine. How dare you?
Have a nice evening, Siobhan.
See you later, Maeve. So yeah, what else has been going on as well too, and just like
Donald Trump has been dismantling democracy, and the Republicans have been masturbating over it.
Yeah, and I don't know what the Democrats are doing either as well too if they have plans.
They have been doing absolutely nothing because they're not against what he's doing. They just think he's
like he said earlier, right? I mean, there's a mix of them, aren't there? Because there are some who are doing more and some who are doing nothing, and some who, like you say,
Bernie Sanders has said things.
Yeah. And also like the leader of the House for the Democrats as well too, the minority leader kind of like they said, Yeah. What can we do? I mean, like the Republicans control the Senate and like a House and like the executive
You
branch
can
and the
filibuster, motherfucker. God
yeah.
damn it.
They can also well, there is a very slim majority for the Republicans in the House and stuff like that. So yes, they can definitely do like block votes or like block that things as well too, or threaten to shut down the government as well too. Because like it's even for the Republicans, as terrible as they are, it's hard for them to like all agree on like one thing to pass a vote as well too.
He couldn't
So
even get Matt Gaetz through. And Republicans love pedophiles when they're
he
on
never
their
even
side.
he never even like put himself up for a vote though. He dropped out before that happened as well too. But
Because
like
he was an
for
open
all the other
fucking
like
pedophile.
yeah, exactly.
Republicans are pedophiles.
Yeah, it's a dark
Sorry,
times.
I
I mean,
should have said the black
the
parts out
frustrating
loud.
thing
Republicans are pedophiles.
No, I mean the Democrats need to start doing big things now before the snowball. You know, if the further it goes on with just endless nonsense, the easier it is for them to push the nonsense further, right? Like if they start really causing a ruckus in various sections of government, then it's harder for Trump's nonsense to go forward. And it's I'm a big optimist. Even in dark times, I feel like there's still a lot that can be done actually to slow down the waves of nonsense. But it takes impetus and action, and lots of Democrats are in better positions than they realize to interrupt that. But as you said earlier, right, they're too ingrained in this like liberal idea that, oh yes, well we'll do right, we'll say and be polite and
Honestly,
we'll
they
just go
just
along with it
agree
and
with
get
the
voted back in.
Republicans.
Like I don't know if I quite. I mean, some of them, yes, definitely. A lot of them
I
share
mean,
the same
they don't
economic
agree
views,
with the
but
most extreme racist bullshit, but they agree with the capitalist bullshit.
they absolutely, I completely agree there. But like, I think they haven't because they've still they've got that consensus of like like Fukuyama said, the end of history. Everyone's going to be capitalist. Everyone's going to agree to the same neoliberal pathway. So that's fine, but or that's fine in their minds. But they don't. They're still in opposition. I feel to a lot of them are to the radically conservative, radically bigoted, authoritarian leanings that leanings, direct actions and views of the um, Republican Party. I do feel like there is still distinction between the two. It's just that it's at the moment a relatively benign distinction because of the dangerous waters we're in as a planet and obviously America as the country.
Yeah. And yet, like, so, yeah. What can, in fact, last year, this was mentioned on the Seatraps Patreon hangout earlier this morning, like, Kara from, like, the UK as well, too, kind of, like, asked us, like, the Americans, are you okay? And it's like, no. Will you be okay? I don't
Yeah,
know
but
if it would be, because, like, with, like, Doge and like all those things in just the coup. It's just a fascist coup. Like Elon Musk is like pulling the fascist coup right now, and like I don't know if like and the media. I don't know the mainstream media. I don't watch it as well too. I just listen to alternative media and like podcasts as well too. Um,
is I sorry, you go ahead, geek. It looks like that you got must be a beautiful day wherever you, is it Florida you are, is that it's
No, well, no, it's just the lighting is really bad in this apartment. That's why to have this bright ass fucking light here on. I'm just venting my apartment, my room. That's what.
Okay.
At least you
I
no longer
forget
have the
that
meth addict roommates.
meth
Yeah.
No,
wow.
I actually just sprayed something. So.
Okay. Yeah. No. Isaiah did have some methodic like
No, I
hits
did.
for a while.
I did.
They were bad. They made a mess. It was unfortunate.
I
Gosh.
see them. I see them occasionally, but yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
I always forget that the size of America. In my mind, it's like sort of even though you know how big it is, like forget that like Florida has basically like is what probably
Florida is
30.
bigger than England. Yeah.
Well, indeed. But you must also, how warm is it there? Like in degrees Celsius, like 30, 35 at the moment?
So it's actually
Florida is more south than Spain.
Yeah, well, indeed.
well.
What's your temperature?
Temperature. I'm trying to find the weather.
It will
here.
occasionally dip below freezing sometimes.
Well, it did that a couple of weeks ago. We had a massive snowstorm.
If only we have Necronomicon on, then she will tell us like the weather as well too.
It's like 60 here right now. Like
60 degrees Fahrenheit.
60
So
Fahrenheit. What's that? Like
it's probably
10,
like
15?
That's about 28, 29 Celsius, I think.
I can't.
It's warm. You can
I
go
can't-
outside in shorts and a t-shirt.
60 Fahrenheit is 15.556
I
degrees Celsius.
I can't do the reverse.
It would be chilly, but you could go outside in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, I can't do the reverse equation to find that answer because you gotta. Isn't to get Celsius, you gotta reverse the way to get Fahrenheit? Is that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's how math works.
Let's see the
there is an equation is too. I just try to remember like at certain points where it's like they're exactly the same at like -40 degrees.
They are exactly the same at -40. And 32 is equal to 0. So
and then like 212 Fahrenheit
212 is boiling. Well,
Yeah.
that's not. That can't be. There's a
no, the
there must
guy
be a
who
reason
made
setting
it made
records
it in order
Fahrenheit.
to be useful to people, such that
So-
100 is about body temperature, and it's really useful in that way.
Mhm.
It's stupid for everything else, but it's useful
Yes.
in that way.
I will cling to my British, well, I say that actually.
That
We're
is
almost
the
as bad
only. No. You don't get to claim Britishness in this. That is the only thing where the British are not using the imperial system. Fuck you.
Yeah, no,
You don't use kilometers. You use miles. Eat shit.
It was all.
Well, the refined of us use kilometers.
Remember
I use
that
kilometers.
story? Remember that story of the Mars the Mars polar orbiter? It was one of those
Yeah.
that crashed.
We had a Mars lander that crashed because one of us used miles, the other one used kilometers. Yeah, that was like in '98.
God, it's like a solar flares going off like outside your apartment. It's it's so bright.
No, I'm pretty sure that it's just that he's black and the white is light. The light is white. God damn it.
It's bad.
Well, a fun fact actually, for a very long time, lots of directors didn't like putting black people in their films because they couldn't work out why they weren't appearing.
Yeah,
properly.
no, it was the lighting is why they didn't put black
They
people in the films.
didn't know how to use didn't know how to make a camera.
Oh no, I mean
contrast.
it's like what do they call it? There's the Kodak color things. It's
Technicolor?
the photography things where they use to standardize the cameras, and they have a bunch of white models. They have a bunch of black models, so that people can know what light settings to use. And one of the white models they used was literally from the magazine for men, Hugh Hefner Playboy.
Yeah,
The Playboy model was literally the model they used for white people for a long time, and then there was just random black people.
Everyone does. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was wanting to mention this earlier in the conversation about like normal as well too. I read an article on the word normal as well too, as it pertains to like human beings as well too. Oh yeah, no, normal was a unattainable standard anyway. As the guy who was like,
Normal
trying to
is
assess-
not a thing.
I
Fuck
agree.
normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's because like when you like dive into the history of the etymology of the word normal as it pertains to like people as well too, no surprise it goes to eugenics.
Yeah, it does.
So like, the Air Force designed their planes for normal people, and then they realized that that was stupid and wrong because there's no such thing as a normal person. They had to standardize their planes not for normal people, but for their individual pilots. This is for short people. This is for tall people, and so on.
Bullshit. The Air Force had to prove that.
Yeah.
Thank Air Force for being woke in 1946.
Yep.
Which you
I just thinking.
Well, no, they were incredibly woke. They accepted everyone who was allowed to be white.
Yeah, you have to look at maths to know that normal. If we sub normal for average, how many different ways are there to find the average? Like a mathematician would not accept, oh, the average is this, right? Also considering the other averages.
Thanks to revolutionary thought that said that average was that the term normalcy was linked to eugenics. I had always suspected that was true, but now I've confirmed it. Thank you very much.
I mean, think about like the body mass index as well too. Was that doctors that like set that up and
Nope.
determined that?
It was a government
It was
official.
a mass petition. Yes.
Was
Yeah.
it weight over height squared?
Yeah, weight over
Yep.
height squared.
Which
So
is,
it
Which
doesn't
is
count
stupid
for,
and
like,
not a thing.
Yeah, and it's stupid, not a thing, and it's like it's not a good metric for like if someone's healthy or not.
It should be weight over height cubed because fucking that's how cubes work.
Yes, it is. But also does account for like muscle mass as well too, and it's just like it plays into fat phobia as well too. It's just like you're the problem what you need is but because you're fat you need to exercise more, as like the Phoenix can like tell that's why like they didn't ever bother to
well, indeed, right?
Yeah,
Case in point, I'm faster now. I mean, than I was a few years ago, and I weigh more. My BMI has increased, and yet here I am setting PBs this morning.
Yeah.
Wait till you
There's
no,
no,
like stereotype of athleticism. Just saying.
I'm not surprised that you're fast, McDonald, because you're black, right? Because all the fastest runners in the world
Just
are
like
black,
Jimmy the
right?
Greek said, you got them big thighs and them big hips. Jimmy the Greek was a sports commentator in the 70s, and he got fired when he said some racist shit.
That sounds like half the British commentators from the 70s and 80s. Well, they weren't fired.
That sounds like half the British commentators today. It sounds like Piers fucking Morgan.
Yes, we're a deeply flawed.
It sounds like J.K. Rowling.
Here's Morgan.
If you were in her book, your name would be Kingsley Shacklebolt.
Oh wait, that's an actual character from Harry Potter. The Irish character in that book liked blowing things up, and like the black character.
She had a character named Cho Chang.
Cho Chang.
If that character were Irish, the name would have been McDonald McDonnelly.
His name was Seamus Finnegan, the Irish one. The black one's dad ran away. What else happened in that book?
Oh, lots of things.
Awful.
The Nazis got forgiven. Truth and reconciliation, motherfuckers.
You're not wrong.
It falls apart, doesn't it, when you think about it more?
Yeah.
Well, then
also like okay, so what we're going to do out of this situation? How we're going to save the rec center or whatever the conflict was like.
Rec center.
Harry Potter goes, "Hey, I'm rich. Here's money as we're to capitalism saves us as and the class system saved us because I'm a generous
this fat person is okay because she's poor. This fat person is bad because they're fat."
She is just terrible, isn't she, J.K. Rowling? It doesn't, when you really scrutinize it, her books sort of just fall apart a little bit.
Yeah, I never read any of her books.
If I had a time machine, there are two people I would. And I'm going to stop there. The other one's Hitler.
Deactivated. So we're two. We can't say unalive because or maybe even Paul Luigi as word two, but just deactivated.
Don't
is word two.
Stochastic. No, that's not stochastic. I'm not Ben Shapiro. I want to make sure I'm not Ben Shapiro. Wet vaginas are not a disease.
No, George P. I think you're right. Elves are still slaves in the movies and the books as well.
Who could forget the slavery that she decided to put into her chattel slavery, a celebrated part of the wizarding world.
And she made fun of Hermione for wanting to fight against slavery. What the fuck? And then she made Hermione black, and she made Dumbledore gay. After, fuck her. With a unaliving tool.
It's okay, so good for queer representation. You make Dumbledore gay after the fact with nothing in the attack.
The fact is, Dumbledore being gay, being in love with Grindelwald, it does make sense.
But it's just the fact.
She could have put it in the fucking books.
It's that pop. What's it called? Gay capitalism, isn't it? Rainbow capitalism, where you just shoehorn in things because it's if she was still writing Harry Potter books now, that'd be Harry would, I don't know,
notice how she hasn't written anything since book 7 because she sucks. Oh no, I'm sorry. She's written a bunch of transphobic detective books.
Yes, under a pseudonym, a pen name that is the
Grindelwald or Grundleberry or Scott's I hate faggots. I don't remember.
Her pen name for one of her novels, her transphobic novels after the fact, is after she wrote Harry Potter, was like the name of the guy who came up with conversion therapy.
Robert McGuy hate faggots. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Terrible. No, she's awful. But then I feel like if it like there's plenty of she's been sucked into that whole cult, hasn't she? So like the whole anti-trans like hysteria. She's just.
I think she was already there. I think she was just a conservative basic bitch Karen.
I think she was, but in the same way that much of British media had just lots of look, it's a man in a dress, and like cue laugh track, like it was just sort of ingrained.
He came out,
yeah, like just all those all that nasty awful humor. But she specifically has been so far into it. I mean, it's like, was it last year that like she showed like her background, and you could see like mold just like completely covering her walls, and she like her life is basically just only spent online tweeting about how much trans people are evil. Like she's properly like the other one, that writer Graham Glinner,
Graham Linehan,
not Glinner. Who's
Graham Linehan?
Glinner is his Twitter handle. Graham Linehan.
Like he
oh my God! Why the fuck do we have to know these things about these awful people? Oh, it's because they're the ones in charge and they claim to be persecuted. God,
well,
that's right, Sasha. We should burn everything down.
Your cat's able to speak? Well, how come you're not on tour with a talking cat?
Because he can only speak to me when he's hungry. And all he can say is, "I'm hungry."
No, that's fair. That makes sense for cats as well too. Or like Sasha can only like talk to you like in human speak as well.
Also, he's ginger, and people don't listen to the Irish.
Ireland are about to win rugby in the. I suppose. Do you have any knowledge of rugby? Any of you?
No, I don't.
They push things and then they get in a big circle and they push at each other. And for some reason, they're missing teeth, even though all they do is push.
I know tackling too.
Yeah, they're tackling too. So it's like the closest
thing. Well, American football players aren't missing teeth, and they tackle.
No, they just get head injuries.
They tackle them. There's a 10-minute pause, and they play like 20 adverts.
And our football players are literally covered in the most advanced body armor in history.
They still get head.
You could shoot one of them in the head, and all it would do is make him beat his wife more.
That's a dark joke, though. It was like, but not wrong.
Just about dark enough to get shot by a cop.
So several bangers in a row there. But no, Ireland are going to win rugby this year. They're the Six Nations. They're very, very good rugby nation.
Did you say Ireland or Ireland?
Ireland, Republic of Ireland.
And will you support the
Does Australia participate in that particular set of games?
No, the Six Nations is only for Northern Hemisphere teams, so it's all the home nations: England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, which can be strangely Ireland.
Are they technically separate nations? I'm pretty sure they're all part of one fuck buddy.
So it's complicated. So we had the history of the troubles sort of says this one.
Yes. I mean, that's like us calling Major League Baseball the World Series. Okay, you're masturbating. That's what you're doing. You're masturbating.
No, we're not. The Six Nations is the six best Northern Hemisphere rugby teams, and they play each other.
They're all from the same time zone.
John Brockman is just like the Pac-10 or the Big 12 in like college football, where they have their own divisions, but sometimes play against other teams.
A big sport rugby. Yes. Anyway, the reason Ireland and Northern Ireland
do you even have France?
One team.
You don't.
Yeah, France. We do. France and Italy play. France, Italy, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland.
Okay, you destroyed the point I was trying to make, but still, fuck you. You're wrong.
I'm not wrong. It's a great sport. I mean,
seriously?
Of course, Owen is right. He's British. Of course, he's right. Listen to him speak. You will. That like.
He's obviously from the Dominican Republic. God damn it.
It's even worse with cricket. All the teams that play cricket are basically the former colonies of the empire.
Yeah.
Even America were playing last one.
Mm-hmm.
I bet your mom's from Trinidad and Tobago.
You're not far off. Try again.
St. Andrews?
St. Andrews.
And no, Andrew said you.
I don't know. There's so many fucking islands down there, and I only know
It's
like
Jamaica.
You are quite right, geek. My grandparents are from Jamaica. They came across in the Windrush generation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about that. What does Windrush generation mean?
Okay, so
is that like when
after
the
second...
British Empire dissolved and all the black people were allowed to come to England?
Sort of, yeah. So World War II has just happened. Britain has been bombed. The city's in ruin. Obviously, America is needing, is putting loads of money into Europe to rebuild it. But there's need more workers. And so, as you said, the Commonwealth, the British Empire is handing independence over to its nations, but also getting citizens over from, well, I say citizens, that's a controversy, getting people over from its colonies.
I think the technical term is jungle bunnies.
Oh, God.
That would be it, sir. But I say not citizens because the controversy is because documentation was not what it is today, and we also aren't as rabidly anti-foreigner and xenophobic as we are now.
They had paper bags back then. They could hold them up.
Many of the so West Indian immigrants didn't have documentation and so have since been deported, even though their families have been here and they've been here for decades. So the Windrush generation, many of them who don't have documentation are at risk of deportation. But yes, my grandparents came from Jamaica, to a northern mining town called Doncaster. Well, actually, no, Nottingham first, then Doncaster.
You said Doncaster. That sounds like an English
Doncaster. It's very English. The River Don is obviously a river.
Doncaster, not a U but an O. That probably makes a difference.
D-O-N.
It does make a difference.
It does make a difference. We've got a strange language as well. English is a mix of many languages.
Yes, it is.
And we gave it to you.
Oh, you're near Sheffield.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're east of Manchester. So what's your favorite football team?
My favorite football team. So I was not born in the north. I was born in London, and I support Fulham. Fulham Football Club.
Fulham. That doesn't sound like a word.
It doesn't. It also says Fulham. Isn't really. It's not a well-formed word if you sort of really go about it phonetically. Or ham. That's English for you, but no, that's my team, Fulham Football Club. That's where I was born. And so the Doncaster Rovers are not doing very well. They are in the third tier.
Fulham has been losing a lot.
We have not been doing well. Only the last game.
They lost against Crystal Palace. Oh, you beat Nottingham Forest.
You can say it. Nottingham.
Nottingham.
No, it's N-O-T-T-M. Nutton Forest.
They abbreviated it.
You beat Newcastle and Wigan Athletic.
Wigan Athletic, yeah. Wigan's in the north as well. Wigan.
Mithrill's probably upset about that. He's a Wiccan.
Owen. I told one of our friends also from the UK named Cara from the other show that if I ever went to UK, I would have an autism fit because there are so many fucking museums there.
We're museums,
trains, and they
naval
categorize
ships.
their chickens. You have no idea.
I mean, if you come to the city I live in, York, you will find a train museum.
Wait, York? Where the fuck did York come from?
York? That's where I live. In Yorkshire.
Oh, New York in the States. New
York.
We've given. Well, I say we. I'm not from York, so but
quick question:
York
did the Great Old Duke of York actually march up a big hill?
Probably not. No. However, the House of York was one of the two houses that fought the War of Roses. So, if you ever heard of Richard III,
yes,
I have not.
No.
Wait, was that Richard Coeur de Lion?
Well, what? Sorry.
Was that Richard Coeur de Lion? Richard the Lion.
No, Richard Plantagenet. Richard Lionheart was like 400, 500 years before that.
Okay.
But our kings are not created.
You have two names, Richard and Henry.
In fact, no. Richard III was like 1100s. Richard III was 1485 when he died. Richard the Lionheart was the end of the 1100s, and his brother. He's one from Robin Hood. And his brother John was the one that everyone thinks was corrupt and bad because John
Honestly, the
Lackland, they
only
call
good
him.
Englishman, I think, was Henry IV. Because Shakespeare
And why
hated
is
him
that?
and he usurped the throne.
But no, so Richard III was from York, House of York, and they lost War of the Roses. I mean, and because Shakespeare
I'm going
was
to assume that York is English for penis.
no, York is a Viking name. So the Vikings, when they came to
Wasn't
Britain,
it Jorvik?
was Jorvik, exactly, yeah. And so Jorvik was a big Viking settlement. One of the oldest cathedrals in Europe, the York Minster, is here. Massive place of significance. It's lovely. It's quite expensive, and it's only recently we've 2 Labour MPs now, but it was quite conservative for a while because of how affluent it is. I am, obviously, me not being from a particularly wealthy family, I've had to rely on my student loan to get by. But it's a nice place. You can see why people like it in York.
Yeah. So anyway, we're like I think we're at the 90-minute marks.
Oh shit. Jorvik. Chapel. Giant
Up the
bricks. Penis. J.K. Rowling should. Gonna stop there.
Yes.
Snape was totally gay for James. He didn't care about Lily. He totally wanted to rub his face on James's butt. That's canon.
And that's the ending line of the podcast.
Yeah. So anyway, So we.
I don't have anything to promote.
Okay. So on McDonald, you are on McDonald on like Blue Sky and other places as well too.
It was delightful hanging out with you.
Thank you. Like, it was a pleasure being here as well. I've got a stream next weekend all set up if anyone's interested. Back to my debating at times with some slightly more rightwards people, but we shall see.
I can't do that. I respect that you have the patience to not punch them in the dick. I can't not punch them in the dick. It's bad enough hanging out with my parents and not punching them in the dick. My mom doesn't have a dick, and yet I still want to punch her in the dick. She's a clan mom.
One of life's mysteries.
All right, so then the Angry Wrench is going to go like live soon. This is like their YouTube channel, the Angry Wrench Speaks, I should say. And I'm Summer Geek on all of the places: Blue Sky, Tumblr, Twitter. Not co-host. Co-host is gone. Threads, YouTube, and like Twitch, and I'm gonna be like doing a Twitch stream like shortly after once I get off here as well too. And John Brockman, you're part of another podcast, aren't you?
Yes, Dungeons and Debacles, which possibly might still update. You can also find me on Blue Sky, SURGOSHAN. And I gotta say, Isaiah, being autistic is only a disability under capitalism, not in real life.
And don't forget to look at Cherry Links page. I didn't mention it this time, but Joanna Roberts wants her begging bowl to be pimping out as well too, because it's the last week of the month as well too, and it's always hard for her. There's something hit her bank account yesterday, and so I gave her my last $50 I could afford to give her as well too. So I can't afford to spend any more money, let alone give any more money to anyone, something like that. So, and I don't get paid until Friday. So yeah, please help out any of the people in Cherry Links page, but also Joanna Roberts and Phoenix and others if you have the means to as well too. And don't forget to take care of yourself.
Bye
Bye everyone.
everybody.
Good night.